Um, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Hi, this is Mike Masterson. I'm an automation specialist with the Reynolds Company out of Houston. And today's users group is we're going to cover several topics today. We're going to look at the MyRockwell Automation Portal, the changes or the new software portal, and we're also going to look at some new technologies and remote services and training. Today, our panelists are going to be myself, Brian McKeska, an automation specialist out of Houston, Hannah McQueen, a sales intern who's out of the Houston area, and Clayton Neville, who is one of the Rockwell sales interns out of the DFW area. And I will kick us off today. Just to let you know, we have some upcoming events. Our users group for next month, we're going to go back into a more technology-focused users group. In August, we're going to look at scalable computing and the new Rockwell Edge Gateway. So we'll be doing a deep dive on that. Now, our upcoming tech talks for next week, we're going to be taking a look at some integrated architecture builder tricks when it comes time to laying out your networks for your applications and your control systems. And then we're also going to have in-hand networks that does a lot of remote type maintenance type things. And I guess we're going to be taking a look at their temperature reading kiosk application. And to get us kicked off, I'm going to take a look at what is MyRockwell Automation. Most of you probably don't know what this is because I didn't know about it until a couple months ago. But it is a centralized web portal that's customer focused, where you can log in or go to this portal, create a bill of material. It has all your quick links there. It gives you a place to take a look at your repairs. You can create bills of material. And it also gives you all the quick links to the Rockwell website. So it's a good centralized portal to enter on. Some of the benefits are that it's personalized. You're actually using a login that you've created or your company login. So where I'm going with this, if you have a knowledge base account, you're going to be utilizing that login to get to it. It's also collaborative, meaning you can create bills of materials and create documentation and be able to share it with coworkers or with a distributor when you're trying to put together a system. By centralized, what we're talking about is it gives you a centralized point where all the Rockwell quick links are. So maybe you can clean up your Google toolbar. It is intuitive, and by that I mean it is Aggie proof. Even I can manage it and go move around this portal. I can say it's a lot more intuitive than the topic Brian will be talking about after me, but we'll get to that later. And it's very flexible. Any place you have Wi-Fi, you can use it. So it actually gives you the ability, if you wanted to create a DCS on your phone, you probably could. I wouldn't recommend it though. So just taking a look at it, it's a very simple format. Again, it's using your login. It gives you your quick links, as you can see on the right, and it gives you a place to take a look at your create a bill of materials you created in the past, apps, whether they're web-based apps or apps like integrated architecture builder. It's a centralized point for that. And you can also do tracking of service tickets here also. So what we're giving you by access to all the portals, if you've like me, I've got quick links scheduled everywhere on my laptop, and sometimes it's very hard to keep track of them. Again, by going to this one portal, everything is where you're going to need it. It makes it for very easy navigation around the Rockwell website, whether it's a Rockwell Automation product or an Allen Bradley product or a Rockwell software product. It has an easy menu drawer, a quick search, which has some very good features on it. And again, it is tied to your knowledge base account or the account you create. So it is secure and it's specifically for your applications. Again, there's an app store where you can find things like integrated architecture builder and proposal works, a place where you can create bills of materials and be able to share your bills of material, and a place where you can actually submit and track your repairs, which is specifically helpful for end users. And the sign-in, again, it's your Rockwell Automation sign-in for your knowledge base, or if not, you do not have to have a service contract, but you can still need to set up an account, so it will ask you to do it. And now I will break apart here and I will do a quick look at it. Can you still see my desktop?
Yeah, you're good.
All right. So first thing here, it's a very clean menu. Right after that, it has a very good search function. I'm going to put in a controller, a Compact Logix L32E, and you take a look at the information there. So it brings up the information. It gives us the life cycle status, that it's end of life. It gives you a place where you can add it to a repair quote if you had something that needed to be repaired, but you can also find all your product information and manuals here too. So it's a very quick link to find that. And it works for more than just my automation stuff. If you are into terminal blocks, you can find all that information here on this search link also. If we go to the management area, you have the area where you can create your bill of materials, the app store, which we'll go take a quick look for. It's looking at my apps. I only have one on it, but if we go back a bit, you can see all the apps that are available for download. You can create your own repair quotes. The My Equipment tab is very important. This is if you're an end user and you've had an installed base evaluation at your facility, this gives you the ability to have that equipment uploaded to this part of the portal so you can take a look and see exactly what you have installed in the plant. Currently, right now, I don't have an installed base evaluation I can submit in there to do, so it's not going to be very helpful. But if you want to take a look at a deeper dive on this, just get with myself or one of our service managers for the Reynolds company, and we can help you and do a little show and tell for you. And you can also take a look at your service tickets here. Now, the browse feature is, here are all of the quick links that I personally use on a regular basis. I have my quick link to knowledge base, the literature library, the product lifecycle status page, what we call PCDC, the product compatibility and downloads page. That's where you download your latest revisions of Studio 5000. Your typical software downloads, basically all the quick links that you generally would have to hunt and peck for, they're all in one centralized location. And then we also have the toolbars, the quick links to everything here. Now this is a living, breathing portal. As Rockwell makes changes and improvements, they will be adding on to this portal and adding new features. So I want to make a plea to you guys that you should start utilizing this, and eventually we're going to have more and more tools here for you to be able to utilize, and hopefully just make your life a little bit easier when we're trying to put this stuff together. And with that, Brian, I will let you take over.
All right, can you go back to the presentation?
Yes, sir.
And full screen. Cool. All right, so come October timeframe, any new software that you have should be available through commerce.rockwellautomation.com. This is the new software subscription and perpetual license portal that Rockwell has, and they've had it for about 2 years now. But this year, they're going to make the switch to going from the older catalog numbers that you may be used to the newer platform altogether. Did it go? Might have a lag. Okay, there we go. So this is when you log in, this is what it'll look like. In the top right-hand corner, you'll have your name and your email address as well. And it looks very similar in nature to the MyRockwell portal that Mike was talking about. And you won't be able to see pricing until you log in. So if you go to commerce.rockwellautomation.com and you don't see pricing, just know that you may have to either create a free account to see standard pricing, or log in with your normal single sign-on to be able to see pricing that is available to you and your company. An important area is what you would normally think of as a settings icon, a little gear icon, and that you can put in any agreement numbers that your salesperson might have given you. You can choose your distributor. The important button on this is, I'm not sure if you can see my mouse, but right above the search agreements button, there's a complete transaction through distributor. So if you want to complete your transaction through us as TRC or whoever your distributor might be, you can check that box and kind of go about it as normal. More closely what you're used to now, probably with an order process. If you want to complete it directly through Rockwell, you would just uncheck that box. And you can always change that in your checkout process later, but this is more of a default setup for your account on your login. Okay, there we go. So on that same page, I just scrolled further down, and this is I guess, 3 areas for various Studio 5000 applications. We'll be going with the normal Studio 5000 Logix Designer. You'll notice they did change the name in this commerce portal, but it's still referred to as Logix Designer, as you can see in the description. And every product gives you a description as well, but you'll find Thin Manager, you'll find Factory Chalk View, Asset Center, Historian. All software platforms will be in this portal, as well as any of the newer PTC platforms as well. So we'll click on Continue. And so drilling down into each software package, you'll notice that there's a perpetual with maintenance option and a subscription option. So a lot of software packages across the board are going to this, right? With Office 365, Adobe's doing it with their Photoshop and Premiere line. So Rockwell's doing the same thing, but they allow you to choose to pay a lower cost on an annual basis, or a higher cost up front with a lower maintenance cost that you might have referred to as Tech Connect in the past. And that's the maintenance part of the perpetual license. And so most of the software packages will show you the breakout, what is included and what is not included with each of the perpetual and subscription options. With both options, you can always choose to up your support. Defaults to 8x5, so Monday through Friday. You can choose to do 24/7 if you wish in the lower section. Sorry, there's a bit of lag. So one of the bigger changes for Studio 5000 that we need to make y'all aware of as customers is, if you can, we would advise you to try to move up to version 20.05. There was different licensing between the older and the newer packages, VirusLogic 5000 and Studio 5000. I believe it was Flexera and CodeMeter. And so the legacy, what is now deemed legacy, is version 20.04 and earlier, will actually cost more in the future if you need it brand new. Now, if you already have the software as Perpetual, you're good to go. You pay your Tech Connect like normal, and it continues on. You still have access to all versions back to, I believe, version 10. But moving forward, if you happen to stumble upon a older system that needs the older software, either version 16 is pretty common, version 19 is pretty common. You will, if you need new software and you have to go back and use the older software, you will have to pay more for a legacy subscription or legacy perpetual license. You can see the difference here is about roughly $2,000 on the perpetual license, or 2,500, I guess, if you count the maintenance option.
Let me reinforce, Brian, the real big takeaway for this is please try to get your systems up to at least version 20.05 so we don't have to be the bad guy when you try to order some software. As long as it's not a redundant system, it should be a fairly easy upgrade.
And if you scroll further down on that same page, you'll see different customization options. So each package will have different customization options. Now, if you choose professional, obviously you're not going to have the options for phase manager, sequence manager, and so on and so forth, because they're already included in the package. I believe I'm going either on standard. I think I'm going on the light version right now. Do also take note that the number of editions have been reduced by 2. There's no longer a mini edition, and then there's also no longer a full edition, but there is a full package as an add-on, and it will show up here on the bottom right side of that page for, whoop, what happened?
Bear with me.
Okay, here we go. It'll show up on the bottom right-hand side. When you choose the standard package, there will be a full bundle that will ask you to add it as well on the bottom. And if there is a software package that has any volume discounts, say the newer, I guess, Historian in this portal has it, I know for sure, as well as Thin Manager. Based on the quantity you select, you will see the updated discount in your cart when you go to checkout. A lot of times you'll also want to look for a little information symbol. It's an eye with a circle around it that sometimes will also pop up if there is volume discount available. It'll pop up a little sub text box that will show you what discount levels are available for that product. There you go. All right. Did I miss this slide? No. All right. So in going to your cart and adding to your cart, this is what it'll look like. It'll show you the new product number that Rockwell deems. This is the only place you can really see it. And it'll show the different breakout in cost for annual and expected annual cost and one-time cost. Do note that as you go on, just like normal Tech Connect, you can lock in your price for up to 5 years, I believe, for the maintenance agreement, for the annual maintenance agreement, or it's possible that, the annual cost will be $910 per year. Next year, it might be $915 per year. It may go up over time unless you lock in that price. But that really hasn't changed from the normal. You're just seeing it in a different portal. And so if I go to the next screen after this, after putting in my address information and company information up there, I'll press next, and then you can choose your agreement terms. So if you already have a Tech Connect, it will, or a toolkit, it will try to start or overlap the agreement to where you pay a prorated rate. But if you want to choose your own custom start date, you can. So if you know you're not going to be using this software for a project for another month, you can delay it, delay the start date for a month until that project gets going. Again, you can change your agreement terms from 1 year all the way up to 5 years and lock in any annual costs that you may see. And then on billing, you can now choose annual, biannual, or quarterly billing. And this is the area that I spoke about earlier when I talked about the checkbox for the distributor option. You can choose to go through Rockwell and through this website to pay with a credit card if you so choose. Or if you want to do the traditional distributor with PO, then you can go through that as well. And your PO is put in the final review screen. If you have the customer or your own PO that you're using, any promo codes that you might have, you can put in the screen, as well as any incentive amounts that you may have through a toolkit option or leftover dollars through Rockwell. And then there's, as with any checkout process, there's a EULA agreement that you have to agree to before either purchasing the software or generating a quote. So if you just need a quote, you can generate your own quote. It will email you the quote. You can use that at your own discretion. If that quote does lapse, there is a way to requote it in other screens within the same portal. And then you can also, in those other screens, you can go through and actually go through with the order and turn in the quote into an order. So I chose on the previous screen, generating a quote. It will email whatever email address you had put in before. If you're an engineer and say you want to send this or assign it to your purchase agent, you can assign a quote owner and put in their email address, and it will email them the quote as well and allow them to move forward with an order if you so choose. So up at the very top, you always you have options just like the MyRockwell portal. So under My Subscriptions, you'll see any quotes that you may have, as well as any orders that you have placed. And so at the very bottom, you can see there's a available option to requote or turn that quote into a purchase using the checkout option. Or you can just review the quote that you already had. Say you deleted the email by accident, you can view the PDF of the quote as well. And moving on to the next screen. On order history, you'll see pretty much the same thing. It's just more of a summary of the previous page where you can drill down into each individual item. And that's all I have.
Awesome. Well, thanks for kicking us off, Brian. Now, Clayton and myself are going to jump into two new offerings we have under Tech Connect, which are technologies in LiveView, which are leveraging the PTC Euphoria Chalk, as well as our new e-learning offerings. So I'm going to jump it over to Clayton and let him start everybody off by talking about LiveView.
Still trying to work the mute button. All right, so thanks, Anna. So this is kind of just a review. This is a review of all the avenues that Tech Connect customers have to get in contact with Rockwell experts and engineers to help them troubleshoot different processes, whether it be software or hardware. This, you know, there's a forum, there's chat boxes, there's emails and phones, but that kind of leads me into something that's a little bit new. that Rockwell kind of has incorporated for their customers to even offer better support, which is live view support. So live view support is the way that Rockwell Automation has basically incorporated Euphoria Chalk, which is a technology that I'll get into a little in a second here, but to better support their customers. It's an application with augmented reality as well as video and audio between 2 points of contact. So, Euphoria Chalk, it's a tool that can help with the nature of working remotely. And since we all are, I mean, obviously this webinar is through the through the internet. This is, a reality that we're all kind of forced to face. So, the social distancing challenges, the limited available experts, on plant floors, and the increased amount of remote work is a perfect storm for what Euphoria Chalk can help with. So what is Euphoria Shock? It's a video collaboration tool backed by PTC's augmented reality technology. It's a live video and audio connection between 2 points of contact, like I mentioned before, but it houses 3D environment mapping that will allow for precise annotations that anchor to physical space and physical objects. The way that, like I mentioned before, the way that Rockwell has incorporated Euphoria Chalk is a great way for customers to incorporate Euphoria Chalk into their business as well. There's, a personal story that one of my fellow interns kind of used this application for was he was replacing a headlight in his car, and he bought all the parts off Amazon, and he goes to school at Ohio State, and he called his dad back in Illinois. And his dad actually downloaded the app and was able to walk him through some processes that he didn't really know how to do. And he utilized this app. His dad utilized the drawing feature that to help better explain a process. And so I thought that was a little bit cool. That kind of should give you guys a little bit of the application that it's really being used for. Some key features are listed below. One that I'd like to point out is the low bandwidth mode. This is a mode that allows, in a plant floor, sometimes you don't have great connection, whether it be cellular or Wi-Fi. This is a feature that will take the frame rate from 31 frames per second to 15 frames per second to allow to maintain a high definition picture just at a lower frame rate. And then as well as the session summaries, these are really cool. So the host or, the person that started the call gets a screenshot at the end of the call for every annotation that was made. And he has actually the option he or she has the option to export every single one of these screenshots that was taken automatically to the other user of the call. It's a great way to just kind of recap and review the information and the directions that were given. So with that, bear with me. I'm going to share my other screen, and I'm going to get into a little bit of a demonstration of Euphoria Chalk, both on the desktop version and the phone version. So bear with me. Alrighty, so on the right-hand side, you guys should be,
Yeah, there you go.
Perfect. All right, so on the right-hand side, do you guys see the Euphoria Chalk applications?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, perfect. All right, so on the right-hand side, you guys can see my phone screen.
Yes.
On the left-hand side, this is the interface of the desktop application. And so I'm just going to kind of walk you through, you know, what starting a session would look like. So I would start the session on my phone, click Show My View. I'm going to mute it so we don't get interference. And then a code is automatically generated. And you can share that with the other end of the call. So the other end is going to enter in this code that was generated. And click Join and join as a guest. So this is my bedroom. At the beginning of the call, you have to calibrate the space to allow for the annotations to work as intended. So I'm just going to kind of walk you guys through how the annotations work. So on my phone here, I'm going to draw a circle to highlight this decoy, and then I can go back and draw a circle on this one. Uh-oh. That's not supposed to happen. Well, bummer. My connection quality is poor right now. But well, I apologize. Am I still with everybody?
Yeah, we can still see your screen.
Okay, cool. I'm glad that happened. So I guess that's a demonstration that got cut short, but you know, this is the session summary on the right-hand side, and that's what it would look like, and it's exportable at the bottom. I apologize for that. I think my Wi-Fi just kind of went out, but I've gone through this a couple times and never had this problem. But I am going to walk you guys through the license type now of the different licenses for Chalk. Is it back to the presentation?
Yeah, you're good.
Perfect. All right. So the general user type, that's more geared towards end users. That's for internal use, where an end user could make a, you know, I was talking to a customer today that wanted to use it for nighttime shifts. So he has plant workers in working 24/7, but he's the specialist and is not able to be there all the time. You know, if they wanted to ask a question to him, they would be able to call him, and both users, because they're a licensed user, could call each other and receive calls. On the other hand, the host license, that's more geared towards OEMs, and you know, that an application that this would be used is kind of exactly how Rockwell is using it, even though so they have host licenses for all of their experts within Tech Connect, and their experts can call a customer and walk the customer through a process, even though the customer themselves is not a licensed user. So with that being said, hopefully that kind of cleared things up. I apologize for the technical difficulties, but I'm going to hand this off to Hannah to go through some e-learnings.
Great, thanks, Clayton. And yes, just to reiterate on the Chalk, Clayton, he has practiced that with me, and he has streamed it over many video chats and hasn't run into the issues. So it must be the fact that we're reaching such a large number of people. Hopefully nobody's trying to utilize a Chalk for 42 people at a time. I don't think it's meant to do that. So anyways, going into the e-learning. So as we've kind of been talking about Tech Connect today, we really see a lot of the applications that Rockwell has in store for support modalities and troubleshooting, I think is kind of the traditional way people think about it. But Tech Connect is really expanding to also help our customers develop. And I think the biggest thing that Rockwell is doing right now to achieve that is the offering and the launching of our new e-learning platform. And the platform was really created to address two main pain points that we see coming along. Oh, we need to see the presentation, Clayton. Popped along. There you go. Anyways, so two main pain points that we saw our customers struggling with that we wanted to address. One was the growing skills gap as baby boomers are beginning to retire, as you can see reflected on this slide, and also the decreased availability of training time just due to increasingly demanding work schedules. So you pop to the next slide, you can see that reflected in this. So add in the struggles of remote working that we're all faced with at the moment, and it becomes pretty difficult to keep yourself as well as any employees you might be managing up to date on new technologies and just continuing to develop their skill set just because of all the demands vying for their attention. So we had these pain points in mind, and then as Rockwell began to develop this platform, there kind of became two main highlights of it that really set it apart from a lot of traditional online learning. And one of those is going to be the modular organization of the content, as well as the interactivity of the content. So the first part is the modular sections of content. So there is a model, you could say, or a theory going around kind of in education research, learning research at the moment called micro-learning. And it's this idea that I think a lot of us can relate to, that a really large concept needs to be broken up into smaller, digestible chunks. Not only does that make it easier to comprehend and retain an idea, but it also fits into the schedule of anybody who might be trying to fit this into their busy day. And so as you can see reflected top left of this screen, maximum length for a video that a worker would have to watch is 4 minutes. I think all of us take 4-minute or more breaks every once in a while throughout the day, and how great to be able to sit back, maybe drink a cup of coffee and watch a 4-minute video, and might just be a small step in the right direction, but at least it's a step towards learning. And then the second big highlight that sets it apart is the interactivity of the platform. Another model kind of in learning research is what is called the 70-20-10 model. So when you're learning a new skill set or a new concept, 10% of what you retain and what you learn is going to come from traditional training. So from watching a PowerPoint and maybe having a brain shark talk at you, or watching a video, reading a book, having somebody present information to you, honestly, maybe kind of like this. And at 20% of what you learn and what you're going to retain is from watching somebody else do it. So maybe somebody performing a task and showing you this is how it's done, or you're just shadowing them through a day of work. You're not going to really have ownership over that skill because you've only seen somebody else do it. And then that 70% comes from actually doing things, working through a process yourself and figuring out what it feels like to do that. I think personally, I know that really holds true in my own life as I've learned new things, and I think we can all kind of relate to that phenomenon. And so the interactivity of e-learning is really pushing what might be seen as a traditional learning platform from that 10% of traditional consumption learning to that 70% of doing learning. So these modules aren't going to be just listening. There are clicking and exploring, going deeper into the machine, visuals that are meant to make something online as realistic and as physical as they can be, questions to be answered, thoughts to be pondered, really hoping to get to that 70% retention rate. If you move to the next slide. So just going into what those offerings are looking like right now. We just launched this, and hopefully some of you got to take advantage of the free trial and taking a course and see this for yourself, see it in action in the past few months. That ended at the end of June, but if there are some, if somebody wants to talk through what that looks like, we can for sure do a demo so you can get a feel for what we're talking about here, especially with it just being different than other online learnings. So right now there are 15 courses across 5 technologies, and that is set to be expanded throughout the rest of the calendar year. Again, just this focus on highly interactive learning, just a lot of simulations. We really are wanting to reinforce in whoever's utilizing this training to walk away confident in their new skill set. It's accessible through tablets as well as most main web browsers on a PC. And the other great key about these learnings is that they are validated through assessments of knowledge at the end of a course, requiring 80% to pass. And these assessments are going to validate CEUs being awarded to the student. So you can really keep track of employees and workers and how they're progressing towards goals and different skill set developments. And additionally, with that validation, e-learning is now qualified also as a prerequisite for our already existing Logic certificate programs that were in the past only offered in person. And so it kind of is now taking this hybrid approach, and this is going to apply to both the accelerated course offerings as well as the traditional. So great for someone who's wanting to get started on this certification right now, but isn't able to attend an in-person offering. They can leverage e-learning to get a jump start on that. And here you will see the visual of all of the current offerings across all of our technologies. Those classes in the white boxes are going to be those that are on the roadmap to be released by the end of the calendar year. And then just a little bit about those, the contract offerings. So again, going back to what we've been talking about a lot today, which is Tech Connect and how our Tech Connect customers really benefit from a lot of different avenues. But when it comes to e-learning, it's the accessibility to many different types of contracts rather than, as you can see in the red on the right here, if you don't have a support contract, the only access you're going to be able to get is a 90-day fast pass for one course for one user. And while that is available under an active Tech Connect customer, you also have ability to be group users and have these year-long access, which also give some enterprise management, as you can see, for the larger groups. So just a little bit more variability and flexibility with what's going to work best for you and your company if you choose to leverage this.
Okay, and with that, thank you, Hannah. I want to let you know if you guys have any questions concerning e-learning or the services portion of this. I want to point out our services specialists. We have Andrew Holtgren in Houston, Brad Freeman in Dallas-Fort Worth, and Joe Boudreau in Southern Louisiana. Feel free to reach out to them or even your automation specialist to get started on this if this is something you're interested in. And with that, I believe we're over. Do we have any questions?
Not that I see at the moment.
Okay.
I haven't seen any questions come in.
All right. Well, with that, I'd like to thank you for attending. And I did not mention that this is recorded and we will be posting this to our website. So if you want to revisit this, we will have this available to you. And with that, I'll just say stay safe and we will see you next users group. Thank you.